Don't worry, I can.
Hello, 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 hello. Y'all, I'm having a pretty good Afro day today. Primarily because today is my day off and I had time to really take care of my Afro. Y'all, it looks like there's not a lot of hair up here, but there is totally. Sidebar, I wonder if I need to turn off the Wi-Fi because sometimes the Wi-Fi is a little sketchy and it doesn't work. I digress. Anyway, so welcome to Worthy Wednesday. Y'all, what is today? Today is Wednesday, March 10th, 2021. First of all, I cannot believe we are in 2021. Second of all, I cannot believe that it has almost been a year this week or next week actually since we had the global shutdown scare of what was happening at the beginning of the pandemic, and they weren't really sure what it was because our school was preparing for spring break that week, and I was actually leaving early Thursday to go to a oh Lord, not basketball, to a volleyball tournament in Denver, Colorado, one of the biggest ones that they have every year. And there had been no cancellation of any events at that time. They were just, it was looming in the air. Anyway, I find it so interesting because I've read so many things over the last few days that people are like, man, a year ago today. And in my mind, I think about where I was in my mind, and I feel like what was happening in the world was nowhere near on my radar because my daughter was a senior in high school. We were about 60 days out from graduation. We still had not made any decisions about college. Well, I say we, I mean her, but me, really. We hadn't made any decisions about college. I had just sent off all of her graduation invitations. And so I was not present in the world and what was really happening. I was involved in my own world at that time. Hi, Kayla. I miss you too. So happy to see you. Well, you know what I'm saying. And so I find it so interesting that now that I can look back on that moment, I think about how different my life was because I am at times taken away from what's happening in the world if it's not in my world. And I think sometimes that's how we all are, that what's happening in our immediate world takes us away from the present, and it takes us away from paying attention to other things and actually knowing what's happening besides what's happening in my life. However, I can also tell you this, worthy women, that a year from that day till today that my daughter successfully graduated from high school with honors, and they had a type of graduation ceremony to honor the graduates, and they had all these other great things for them to go to. She received the top academic scholarship when she was accepted to her university here in Portland. She received a full ride academically, and then by the grace of God, they also offered her a volleyball scholarship, which paid the rest of her room and board and books and all of that. And so I am thankful the following year to tell you that even in the midst of a global pandemic, that miracles were still happening, and they were still happening for many, many people, not just me. And I'm telling you this because I think it's important that we have the right perspective when you look back. A lot of times when we look back, and this isn't even what I want to talk about, but I'm talking about it right now. A lot of times when we look back to something, or we look back to a specific time in our life, we only focus on the negative things that happened during that time. And while so many people in the world are reflecting on what happened, the world got shut down, kids didn't go to school, people lost their jobs, people died, all of those things, I think about how many times that happens every year, and we don't ever talk about that. But the reason why we were forced to talk about it for a year is because what we were doing halted, and we had no other recourse but to talk about what was happening every single day. And I have really gained what perspective is supposed to be about. Perspective is not supposed to be about shoulda, coulda, woulda. I wish I would have done this, or I wish I would have paid attention to this. Perspective, when you look back, is to say, what are the things I am grateful for because that this particular thing happened. And I'm not specifically talking about the global pandemic, because I'm not thankful for sickness by no means. I'm not thankful for death, but I am thankful for the things that it has taught. And I'm not even going to talk about you, because this is the year of me. I'm going to talk about me. But I can tell you, I am thankful because that month that I got to stay home with Gianna, I actually got to stay home with her and look at her every single day and talk to her every single day. Whereas if we would have continued on our current normal path, traveling 2 times a month to different international volleyball tournaments because she really wanted to play volleyball in college too, I would have never had that time with her. We never would have slowed down. We would have ran until the very end of May. And I just would have been exhausted by the time it would have been time for her to go in July. When I look back on that time, I can say how important it was to be still and to reflect on what's important in your life. I can look back at that time and say, I'm thankful that I didn't feel panicked or rushed to get up and get to work and teach all day and try to complete all the things that I was supposed to do as a teacher. I can look back at that time and say, I enjoyed getting up. I mean, I still was on a schedule because we were teaching remotely, but I enjoyed being able to just relax and be still. I can also look back and say that I was thankful that I was able to, without any fear, any hesitation, to take Gianna to school in July, get her settled in. She was able to attend college live. You know, they didn't have in-class sessions in the fall, but they are having some partially now in the spring. She was able to have the college experience. So many things that I could have been upset about. I could have said that this particular slowdown in the earth ruined all of these things. I didn't get to have the traditional graduation. I didn't get to have the big party. I didn't get to have all these things. But perspective and looking back, Worthy Women, is recognizing what you do have, what you did get to do, why you're still alive, why you can be thankful, why you can be grateful. And I have really taken that time this week because so many news media, so many articles, so many things are being written about what happened a year ago today in the society and then where we are now. But I'm telling you, in your life, perspective is everything. It's everything. It's everything. Because instead of being angry, instead of being frustrated, instead of believing that because of politics or careless government or careless leaders or whatever you want to pass that on to, you can look back and say, oh my God, my family is still healthy. We still were able to have food on our table. We still were able to put gas in our cars. We still were able to take care of any educational needs if you have children at home or grandchildren or whatever. We are still alive. And that is what I hope you're doing with your perspective. If you're choosing to look back about what happened in the week that changed the world or whatever, and really understand what perspective can do for you. And I can sit here now in March of 2021 and be thankful, just thankful for, I mean, literally, y'all, I am thankful for every single thing. I don't find any area where I want to be ungrateful. I don't find any area where I want to complain. I mean, I think about it, but if I really look at it, I don't have a reason to be unthankful. I don't. Even death, even sickness, even heartache, even heartbreak, all of those things that I experienced last year too. Because even though the world is going through something individually, we as Worthy Women, we're all walking through something. Every day we're walking through something. But I can tell you, a year from that time to this time, so many amazing, marvelous things occurred that I don't have time to say it was the worst year of my life, because it wasn't. And it wasn't the worst time of my life because it wasn't. And I can be thankful for 2020 for the rest of my life. and honestly understand that the reason why, and I think this is part of understanding me, and by me, I mean you understanding yourself, that how I choose to view something, whether in the past or in the present, and certainly going forward into the future, how I choose to view that has the biggest impact on me. And I can tell you that I choosing to be thankful during that season where I wanted to control, because how else are we going to be seen by top schools and top coaches and all of these things if she can't go to these tournaments? Literally, I spent weeks yelling at the Lord. I mean, maybe y'all don't do that. Okay, I don't recommend it. But just being frustrated, thinking about, why are we in a global pandemic? I don't have time for this. I don't know. Maybe everyone's better than me. I'm fine with that. But I'm willing to tell you the truth about the perspective that I had in those first early moments, thinking like the entire world revolved around me and what my baby wanted to do in order to go on to the next phase of her life. But I can tell you, to have a miracle in the midst of a global pandemic, and not just for her, but for you, there were miracles that happened in your life. And I'm not talking about money, and I'm not talking about cars, I'm not talking about homes. I'm talking about daily provision, that you could eat every day, that you could sleep every day, that you could wash your clothes, that you could go to work if you still were able to go to work. Yeah, it wasn't an inconvenience for some things, yes, but perspective worthy women it's everything. It's everything. And so I know, and I believe, my belief is not what I believe, but my belief, the actual state of my thoughts is I have to choose. I have to choose my perspective. I have to choose it. I have to choose to honor. I have to choose to believe. I have to choose to have hope. I have to choose to know that I am worthy. I have to choose to know that even in a global situation that has changed so many things, I still have to choose how I respond. And I still have to choose how I move forward in this next part of our life. So a year ago today, I don't think I would have been able to tell you all that, because that's not how I was living, and certainly wasn't the way that I was thinking nor believing. But I can tell you, as the rest of the year unfolded and so many things begin to occur that I could not explain, it was just the hand of mercy, the hand of God, the hand of grace. I literally began to realize that the problem with me is how I view what's happening when it's me. And so that's just, part one of really not what I even wanted to talk to y'all about. I don't even know why I told y'all that. But anyway, so that's part one of Worthy Wednesday for today, because I had actually planned to say something else because I wanted to talk about something else. But I just wanted to give that because maybe there's a worthy woman that is watching now, or that a worthy woman that will watch this, and you need to have your perspective realigned, and you need to get into agreement with understanding the good in your life, even the good that comes out of a situation that is not so good, because that changes everything. How you believe about what's happening, that changes everything. So anyway, that's Worthy Wednesday part one. Yay. But the second thing I wanted to, actually, this was like the first thing I wanted to talk about. But the second thing is, last week we talked about writing goals and having goals. Sorry, I got to get my notebook. And so we said, what goals are you going to achieve? Now, I asked you guys to select one goal, because a lot of times I make tons of lists. Like I have a list. I wish I could find it. Where is, anyway, I can't. Oh, here it is. Here it is. Is this it? No. Anyway, I have a list of things that I want. Here it is. Is it on here? No. Sorry. I have a list of things that I want to do. And usually the list is like 10 to 12 items. And it's a daily goal sheet. And honestly, I usually get to like 2 of them because so many other things occur during the day that I don't have time to get to it. And sometimes I'm really frustrated about writing a goal or something that I want to accomplish for the day and not doing it. So I told you that we need to write one goal. Like, even if it's to take you all week, it's okay, but you need to write one goal. So like, for example, I said, if you need to finish your application or apply for a new job or go work out once, okay? And then in 7 days, write that goal. Then I want you to do it. So I think it was Saturday. Sometimes I get my days confused when I'm working, but I asked you to check in. Did you have your goal written? Because a goal just in your head is just another thought that you're going to process 50 more thousand times. And then I wanted you from Wednesday to Wednesday to tell me if you completed that goal. So tonight, I want you to tell me whether or not you did your goal. Tell me what it was, and then tell me if you finished it. Okay, so I'll post what mine is, and then I'll tell you whether or not I finished it, because I want to know, did you finish your goals? So we're going to set a new goal for this week, because I think it's important. If you think about it, we are in the second week of March. I don't remember what week it is, but I'll let you know in the post. So we still have about 5, 9. So we still have like 30 something weeks left in the year. So think about it. If you do a goal a week, you will have accomplished 30 things. So that's pretty amazing. But if you do more than a goal a week, that's great. But I want us to keep it in perspective. I think that's maybe that is what I'll talk about in real life. Okay. So don't forget to tell me, your goal when I make that post tonight. So all right, let's get right to it for Worthy Wednesday today, March 10th, 2021. So the year of 2021, we have certainly been talking about me and not y'all, because I think it's easier to talk about me and not you guys. So that's why I talk about me. So tonight I put me and me because I wanted to talk about sometimes, I don't even want to call it a war, but basically the cognitive dissonance, we'll say that, when we talked about the struggle being real that you have between yourself and yourself. And I think why I want to talk about that is because on Wednesdays, I specifically do not work on Wednesdays because I really want to, number one, not interact with people before I do Worthy Wednesdays. Number two, I also want to have just a little bit of freedom to kind of relax and not think about too many things and just kind of focus and meditate and get ready for Worthy Wednesday. But I want to tell you guys that before I usually do anything on Worthy Wednesday, that never occurs. Okay. I just want to keep it 100. That never occurs. There hasn't been one Worthy Wednesday, not one, from the very beginning, last year, July 15th, 2020. There hasn't been 1 week where on a Wednesday where I actually plan to do nothing and just kind of like that's ever happened. I just want y'all, that never happens. There is always something that occurs on Wednesday that sends me mentally, physically, emotionally into a tailspin. And I literally have the worst thoughts and I'm just yelling and screaming and I'm frustrated and I'm so angry and I'm mad and I'm just like, I'm not doing Worthy Wednesday. I'm canceling it because I'm stressed out and blah, blah, blah. And I'm telling you that happens every week, which is terrible because it is an area where I am most vulnerable because I am very serious about doing a job of excellence when I do Worthy Wednesday with you guys every week. And I also want whatever I say to impact worthy women. And I have learned long before now that sometimes when you are on an assignment, it's not for every week, is not for every person. Sometimes it's just for one person. Maybe 195 people have watched the video, but the video was really just for one. And so the perspective that I have whenever I'm doing Worthy Wednesday is that someone is going to say, this is exactly what I needed to hear at this moment. This is exactly what I needed to, refocus on. And so whenever I come to Wednesday in the week, I feel like I'm already ready, because I'll be preparing starting tomorrow for next Wednesday. And I feel like everything really runs smoothly in my life until Wednesday. And so today I wanted to talk to you about me and me because I know that the frustration that I experience has nothing to do with other people, but it has to do with me. And I believe at sometimes the me that's fighting is me. The me because I want Worthy Wednesday to be successful. I want it to be honorable to the Lord. And I certainly want the group of worthy women in this community and those that share it and those that participate in it. I want it to be more than just another Facebook group that you're in. I want it to be a point of discussion that you have with your colleagues at work, with your family, with your sisters, with your brothers, with your nieces, with your nephews. And I want you to recognize that the fight that you're having between me and me doesn't have anything to do with what you're actually supposed to be doing. Because what happens is when we go out to do a particular job, or we try something new, or we're learning something new, we always, not you, but me, I often believe that I'm not sure if I'm qualified for this. I don't know why I was chosen for this. I don't think they made the right decision in selecting me. I don't, maybe they're going to find out I'm not as smart as they think. Maybe they might not like my personality. And there is a battle that happens between me and me when I'm already in the place that I am ordained to be in. And I want to tell you that when you are in a transition, and I'll just use me for an example, making a transition to leave one place and move to a different place, making a decision to pack up all your stuff, put stuff in storage, go and live, and you don't really have a plan on what you're going to do, and praying and hoping you get a job, and then you get a job and you're like, okay, that's good, took care of one piece. And then, looking to buy a house and all these different things. There's always that nagging me who's saying to me, girl, what are you doing? Girl, what are you doing? Why do you think that this was a good plan? What do you mean you're going to move across the country? What are you doing? First of all, who told you that that was a good idea? See, that's me talking to me about me, who already decided to do something that the other part of me was just like, I didn't agree to do that. And so when you're in a transition, and I'm not just talking about physically or spiritually, mentally or emotionally, I'm talking about the transition occurs in your mind first. And that's what's so amazing about our thought process. And what my favorite book, the Bible, says, that as a man thinks in his heart, so is it. As you think that you are, that's exactly who you are. You don't become something that you don't think about all the time. You don't become successful without believing that you already are successful. You don't become a good mother by thinking you're not a good mother. You don't become a good spouse by thinking you're not a good spouse. You don't become a lawyer by not already believing in your heart that you are a good lawyer. So the battle of me versus me is the me who's saying and looking at all of the outside circumstances that this is not a good plan. Okay, let's talk about number one, you don't have any money. Number two, what are you going to do? Number three, where are you going to live? Number four, you don't have a job. Number five, are you kidding? It's cold there. Are you ready to live in the cold? Number six, do you even have winter clothes? Number seven, what makes you think you're going to be successful when you get there? Number eight, how are you going to survive? Now, worthy women, I don't know if you've ever had those conversations with me. And by me, I mean you, because you too have had conversations with yourself when you've decided to do something. But when you get that thing in your heart, your head gives you the biggest fight to come into agreement. Now, remember, we talked about alignment. Remember, and we talked about alignment is when enemies can align. That means they have the common goal of destroying you or destroying this particular entity. So they get into alignment, meaning they don't like each other. They don't want to do the same things after it's over, but they recognize being together and unified is what they want to do in order to destroy you. So you don't want to be in alignment with things. You wanted to get into agreement, because agreement means we have the same purpose. It's one purpose, right? So when you are having me versus me, okay, me and me, the problem is that one part of me wants to be in alignment, but the other part of me wants to get into agreement, because agreement means, as my favorite book tells you about, as a man thinks in his heart. So that means my head and my heart agree. They agree that I'm worthy. They agree that I'm successful. They agree that I can become exactly what I want to be. They agree that I could go back to college and become a lawyer. They agree that I can become a midwife. They agree that I am able to do something that the other part of me says you're not able to do. So I thought to myself, in why I'm saying me and me is because why is it so difficult for me to get into agreement with me? I just, honestly, I just really wonder if a lot of the things that we experience as women really has very little to do with our outside circumstances and more of what we believe in our head versus what we believe in our heart. And I wonder if the reason why we continue to repeat certain cycles in our life is because there's one part of me that agrees with what my heart believes. And then the other part of me agrees with what my head believes. And so because there's really no agreement, we only come into alignment when necessary in order to destroy something that we can think in our head and believe in our heart that we don't want that. And by we, I mean me. But what about the rest of the time in my life where honestly, I really want to be in agreement because I do want to be successful. I do want to experience joy. I do want to experience peace. I do want to actually go to law school, okay? And I'm just using myself as an example because I can say so many things, but never put any action to it. Hence why I'm saying we have to have goals and we have to write them down because writing it down makes you accountable to yourself. I'm accountable to me that if I never finish the application, who can I be upset with but me? Who can I agree with that the reason why I'm not a lawyer doesn't have anything to do with, oh, well, I had to be a mom. Oh, I had to work 3 jobs. Oh, I had to do this. No, the reason why I'm not is because I didn't get into agreement with what I believed in my heart. I was only thinking and believing what was in my head that, number 1, you don't have time for that career. Number 2, you need to get a job. Number 3, when are you going to get your life together? Number 4, you want to pay off this debt. Number 5, you need to make sure that you have saved enough money for Gianna when she graduates college. Number 6, you better hurry up because you're not going to be any younger by the time she finishes. And so I'm having all of this struggle, which we know as cognitive dissonance, about me and me. And so let me tell you what happens when me and me can't get in agreement. Nothing. How many years of our lives worthy women, and I'm not talking about you, y'all know that, right? I'm just really talking about me, but how many years of my life have I wasted not being in agreement? How many years have I spent walking through circumstances, walking through life because I wasn't in agreement with myself? I couldn't make a decision about me. Therefore, I couldn't make a decision about my life. See, I want you to know that when you are not in agreement, and I'm talking about your head and your heart, you literally do nothing. You will spend years of your life coming into alignment with things, places, purposes, people that are not the best for you. Okay, so I'll prove it because sometimes I think to myself, this sounds really good, but you got to prove it. To who? To me. So let me give you an example. I worked part-time last Christmas from like October 31st to the end of December, first week of January for a mail company. Okay. It was UPS, just so we're clear. Now, I took packages and put them in my car and I had to deliver, they give you the phone with the app and you just go down the map. All right. So anyway, I'm hustling, right? I'm hustling to deliver 120 packages, 95 packages in a certain amount of time. Okay. Well, time goes on and I come to find out that some of the constituents were making more money than me. Now we're all getting paid the same amount, but their paychecks were more than mine, like significant. And I was like, we're working the same amount. How come they're getting course. So, me, because I naturally am inquisitive, I wanted to ask. I'm like, how come I'm not getting the same amount? I know everybody's different, blah, blah, blah. And they're like, oh, well, we're doing the following. So basically what they ended up doing, number one, was cheating. Okay. And I know cheating is probably not the best word, but they were basically like milking the clock a little bit. And because they were doing that, they were getting more hours on the clock, but still beating the time in order to get the deliveries made, but still being able to extend that time in order to make more money. Okay, well, here am I, okay? And I meant that on purpose. I'm stupid enough to think, I was like, wait, isn't that cheating? Like, that's not right. You don't have integrity because you're doing something that's not honorable. Okay, so right now, let me tell y'all, I'm in agreement with myself that I can't, stealing time is wrong. Like I can't do that. I can't do that because I've been in management positions where we've had people steal time and we've had to terminate them because we're like, listen, you can't do this. Okay, so we don't terminate them first because I don't like for people to not have money. So I say to them like, please understand, you will be terminated if this happens again. Like, there's no if, ands, or but. Okay, fine. So one lady did it again, and I was heartbroken that she had to get terminated. But I told her, like, we could have helped you. Anyway. So I was really disturbed that they were, like, doing that. And so one part of me said, well, get into alignment with that, Kari. Get into alignment with what is wrong. Do what they're doing because the purpose of that is to get more money in your paycheck. That's what one part of me said. The other part of me said, girl, you better not get into alignment with that because it's wrong. And the reason why you only want to do it is because you think you're going to be able to get more money. And then the other part of me said, if you do that, you're going to get caught and you're going to get fired. Right. So here I am having a war within myself. See, this is what gets me about me sometimes. Like, why am I arguing about what's right? Do y'all ever do that? Okay, let me listen. It's not y'all, it's me. It's totally fine. That's why this is about me. I literally said to myself, why am I having a debate about this? Why am I even considering coming into alignment with the wrong thing? Oh my God. Why do we do that in every area? Worthy women, I'm just wondering how many of you, and by you I mean me, have come into alignment with things, people, processes, jobs, conversations that we knew we had no reason and we had no business to be a part of that. I have often thought to myself, how many times could I have avoided certain things in my life if I would have made the decision not to listen to the me that knew it was wrong, right? Now, let me just say something here to be clear. I don't have split personalities. You don't have split personalities. I'm talking about we as individuals, me as an individual. There are times that I listen to the part of me that I listen to myself and I do what's right. And then there are times I listen to myself and I don't do what's right. So that's what I'm saying when I say me and me, because I'm one person. I'm not two people. I'm one. I'm one. Kari Michelle is one person. Do you understand what I mean? So I don't want us to get off track and be all like, oh, well, sometimes I'm talking about, yourself. Okay. So there's only one of you. There's only one of me. And there are times that I listen to the parts of me that I like and I do what I want to do. And then there are parts of me I listen to the stuff I know I shouldn't be doing, but I still want to do it. And I do it anyway. All right. So back to my story. So in order to find out if what they were doing was wrong, even though I already knew it was wrong, I went to go talk to the supervisor who has been with the company for like 15 years. And I said, hey, I really have a question about this. And so I explained to her what was happening and she started laughing and she said, Kari, you know that they're not supposed to be doing that, right? Because it's wrong. And I was like, okay, that's exactly what I said. I was like, okay, yes, I know it's wrong. And I was like, they can't do that because it's wrong. She said, no, they shouldn't be doing that. And I was like, okay, so my delivery score was not as high as theirs. I said, but I was actually delivering and they were just hanging out, kicking it. And so I was like, I can't work for you anymore. She was like, what? I was like, I can't work for you anymore because it's wrong. Like, if you know that it's wrong and you know they're doing it, but you're just telling me, I know they're doing it, but it's okay. I'm like, no. I can't do that because I don't want to work for you and you know it's wrong, but you're saying to me what I'm telling you is right because it's wrong, but you're just saying it's okay. Okay, so then I was like really freaked out. And I was like, okay, well, I'm not going to work anymore. She was like, what? I said, I can't work anymore. And she said, you can't quit. I said, oh, no, I can't. I can't quit because I don't want to be a part of that. Right. So I would rather come into agreement with what I knew in my head and my heart that cheating and time integrity is you can't do that. It's wrong. It's wrong, period. Right. So she was like, no, don't quit. I'm going to talk to him. I was like, okay, well, I'm not coming tomorrow because I don't know if you're going to talk to him or not. She said, okay, I'm going to talk to him tomorrow and I'll text you come. All right. So here's where it got hazy for me. Okay. So she talked to him. It was fine. They didn't do it for like a week. Right. But then the next week they started doing it again. And I went back and I said, they did it again and they're doing it now. And I said, I can't work for you anymore. Like there's no more, I'm going to fix it. There's no more. I said, I'm not coming to work anymore because I am aligning myself with wrongness. And I said, I'm an adult and I'm not doing that. So I didn't go back to work because I said, there's no way that I'm going to participate in that. But here's the point of this story. The battle that I fought in my head was you need the money and you should work and you should do all these hours. But the battle that I fought in my heart was, how many times have you witnessed to these people? How many times have they said, could you pray for me? They didn't know if I believed in the Lord or not. They didn't know that. How many times have people walked up to you? How many customers did you go to their door and they said, let me just tell you this story and you're so kind and all. And I started replaying all of these things that had happened while I was delivering. And I said, how can I now go do something that would undo the things that I have done? So I came to this conclusion. I'm not going to do it. I'm just not going to do it. I'm going to do what's right. Because the me and me, I have made a decision that doing right is more important than making more money. And so this is what I want you to think about this week, worthy women. What things have you thought about in your head and thought about in your heart? And your head won and not your heart. Now, I'm not talking about anything that's life changing, like whether or not if you need a surgery, you need it. You don't got to, you need to do those things. But I'm talking about as far as relationships, friendships, decisions that you make at work, decisions that you make at the grocery store, at Walmart, at Target, at HEB, wherever you are, decisions you make in conversations that you have with people, decisions that you make about gossip, about faith, about God. I want to know, where are you in that place? Where are you? Are you really saying, I'm only going to listen to the me that benefits me when the situation is not something that I would prefer? Are you saying that I want to do what's right for me because it's right? So perspective in that particular situation was, I wasn't willing to sabotage me for extra money. And even though I regretted it at some times, because I was like, man, I could have used that extra money. Man, I needed to do that. And these are real life thoughts that I had in my life, right? But then I thought to myself, is it worth it? And worthy women, that's really what I want you to ask yourself when you're thinking about perspective and you're thinking about you, and by you I mean me, the decisions you have to make. When you look back on the decision that you make today, the next day, next week, in a month, when you look back, what perspective are you going to see? Are you going to see that you were in agreement? That what was the best in your head and the best in your heart, that's the decision you made? Or are you going to see, when you look back, that perspective you're going to look at and say, man, I made a decision to get into alignment with something that wasn't honest and pure and decent and whole. I think that's the most important thing when you're talking about me. And that's the most important thing that I've learned in talking about me, that I have to decide when I look back, did I make the right decision? Did I decide what was good for me was not just good for me, it was good for those that I was going to be in contact with after I made that decision? So this week, worthy women, we've got a lot of work to do. You also have goal number 2, but more than that, I want you to think about perspective and what happens when me has to make a decision. Because when I look back, there's a song that we sing when I look back over my life at church. I love that song. But when I look back, and I mean, you'll probably look back next week at this very thing and think about decisions that you've made. It's so important to know if you made a decision that changed your perspective about what is important in your life. That's what I'm working on for me. And I hope you're working on that for you too. I'll see you next week.